Welcome back everybody, this is always back with another video on the channel. This is going to be the third part of the series that I've been working on YouTube. So it's complete mobile application development project-based workshop using IONIC framework. So we're using IONIC 5 framework. Let me just open up that on the browser as well, so we might want to come back and look at the documentation. Okay, so before we start our video, I would like to set an agenda for this part of this series. So in the previous video, I created this storage service, and we have some functions here which are used to store, retrieve, update, and clear data from a local storage. First of all, we are going to try this out, and then once we know that our functions are ready to go, they are doing what they're supposed to do, then we're gonna start creating this page. So I'm gonna click on this fab plus button, and here we want to have a form, and the form would be like adding an expense. Subscribe to the channel, please subscribe. I'm gonna be creating a lot more IONIC and overall web development or programming tutorials. So subscribe to the channel, and if you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. And if you really like this video and you think it really helped you, this whole series, and you want to support me, there's a PayPal link that you can use to donate. Okay, so let's get started. Now I'm going to take you to Trello first. So I'm going to create some of the tasks for me. Now we got our storage functions, helper function done. I'm going to move this to developed, and then we're going to create another task, unit testing of storage service. Okay, so this is going to be a really full-fledged unit tested application, so I'm gonna move this to in progress. Also, I would like to open Adobe XD, and here we got the markup done for add expense page. So this is like an agenda for this part. Okay, so let's go to the code. You're gonna have to run this command npm run test, enter, and then it's going to bring up a browser with all the unit tests. Okay, so we got pretty much all the tests passed here. We want to worry about the storage service test for now. So I'm going to do one modification. So I'm going to go to this test file. I'd like to specifically say that I would like to only test this storage service, not the whole code. Because once we finish testing with this service, then I can come back and then, enable the whole unit testing for the whole project. So let's go back to test file, and here I'm going to give a path app/services. Okay, I'm going to save the file, and now I'm going to run npm run test command, and now it's going to look inside this services folder and then run all the files which has this spec extension. So we got the browser up and running, and now we should see only one unit test, which should be for service that it gets initialized. Okay, so there's only one unit test now, so that's it. Now, in terms of opening a browser and seeing the test passing here, it's a little bit, weird. So what I would like to do is create another script in this package.json file, and I want to say test headless. Okay, and this script will run this ng test command -- and here is the flag that I would like to show you guys from IONIC documentation, so you know how you can go and improve your knowledge, because completely covering this framework, it's clearly impossible. So I would like to do Chrome headless. So here we got this browser tag with Chrome headless CI. Okay, and then we are going to paste that here. Now what it's going to do, it's gonna skip opening the browser and run the test in the terminal. So because we're gonna be running tests, so I would like to full screen this IDE, and then I'm going to move my terminal to the top right, so I could see the test side by side. There you go. Okay. Now I'm gonna stop the server to run that command which we just created, npm run test headless, and now it's using this flag browser is equal to Chrome headless CI. Now let's see what it does. I hope I don't see any errors, but here we got an error. It says cannot load browser Chrome Headless here. It is not registered. Okay, if you get this error, I'll show you how you can fix it. So the test runner we have is Karma in IONIC project when using Angular, and here we have a browser set to Chrome. Okay, I'm gonna add this flag here. We'll say custom loader. Maybe I can just copy that bit from one of my project, not to just waste time. So here we got this tag here, custom launchers, Chrome Headless CI, base is Chrome Headless, and flags is no sandbox. Now, once I save this configuration, I'll do npm run test headless. And now we should not see this error anymore, and our storage test should run perfectly fine. Let's have a look. So it's running. Okay, building 93%. And there you go, we got one success. Now, in terms of keeping this running here, it's just going to continue looking at it. So if I open up this storage spec file, and this is where we are going to write our test. So I'm going to use another test. I'll say past test. And then for the assertion, I'm going to just say expect 2 or 1 dot to be or to equal. That's fine. Let's save the file, and it's running our test. I realized that I was covering some space on a terminal, and I wanted to show you the whole PyCharm so you could see everything on the screen. So therefore, I've removed myself. I hope that will be fine with you guys. So here we got a storage service. We're gonna start writing some tests for set object, get object, and I would like to change some naming convention here and do some modification to storage service as well. So I'm actually going to copy this plugin, and instead of just using that variable, I'm actually going to just copy this bit and paste it on everywhere where we use the storage. So we're directly accessing plugins.storage, and our code should be running and the test should pass. There shouldn't be any problem there. So I'm going to change some naming convention here as well. So we got this set storage, and I'm going to change this to save to local. For the getter, I'll say get from local, remove from local, and then clear local. My naming convention, if you want to be more specific, we could probably write storage here. I'm actually going to copy this. I think storage should be fine. I don't mind adding the storage, so it's more like, easier to read. Now we got some functions. Now we're going to start writing some tests. I'm going to hide this project explorer, open this side by side, and here we got the test. Okay, now the first test we want to run is this save to local storage. So the way we're going to do, let's just start by it. I'll say save to local storage, and I'll say now here we got two tests passed. Some configuration for our storage service. So right on the top, I'm going to create storage service variable. I'm going to set the type to storage service, and within the configuration, I'm going to add providers, and that will take storage service. Then in every single call or every single execution of the test, I would like to grab that storage. So after this bit, I'm going to access storage service, and I'm going to set that equal to testbed.get, and we can get storage service here. Okay, see there's an error here. It says expected this comma here. One thing I would like to do here is add this curly bracket, and then add that here as well, the indentation, and then here we're gonna need a semicolon there, and we don't need this bit. Okay, now it should be fine. So we added this, a code block there, and I add a semicolon there. Now here, I would like to use that storage. So we create this variable right on the top, which will be, used as a storage. Now I'm going to use this const actual. I'm going to set that equal to this dot storage. Actually, we can access that directly, and we're going to call this saved local. Now this thing requires two things, a key and a value. For the key, I will just say that would be test, and then the value we can use another object, or we can just pass it like test. Just remove this expect equal 1 to be equal 1. We don't need that anymore. So here we are storing to local storage with key as test and this object. Use the same function from our storage service, which is a get from local service, to get this key and its value. So I'm going to use this const expected, and we can use storage service dot get from local, and that will require a key, and we can pass in the key test. Now because this is going to return a promise, you can see here we're gonna have to handle that by using then, and then within then we can say value, and then inside this we can first of all just log the value what's coming in. Okay, then we figure out what's going to do with this promise handling. Now because this is going to be a promise, I would like to use this done function, and we're going to call this done function right here in our then clause. Okay, let's save the file, and now I'm going to actually run this bit in the browser instead of this just terminal, so I could see some logs there in a clean manner. So npm run test, and we should see our test coming up. Now in this case, we got this actual value, which we actually stored using this save to local storage using key, and this is an object. And then we are going to expect the same value coming back from the getter function from local storage. So I'm going to open up console for this, and let's see what we have logged. All right, so here you can see it's logged this test. So that means we are getting that value in the promise. Now we can expect that same thing. For example, here I would like to say expect a value to equal actual value that we sent. Let's save it, and let's open up the browser and see if that test passed. Okay, still running. It says value is declared here. So there's a problem with our test, I guess. Okay, now no problem. So we see that we got two tests passed. It says should be created, and it says spec has no expectation, save to local storage, this function, blah blah blah, to PyCharm. And here we are going to now use this expect from Jasmine and validate that the value is the same. So before I do that, I would like to store a constant saying object equal to, this is a test as test, and I want to use this bit as object. Okay, now let's save the file, and now we're going to get rid of this log, or actually leave the log here, and we're going to use this expect, and then I'm going to say dot to equal from here. I would like to say if the value is dot to equal, and now we can use this object which we're supposed to get back. I'm going to save the file, and now we're getting the test failed. So it says value is missing in the type text. So I'm going to go back to the function here, and I'm not going to specifically define as an object. I'm going to just say any. Let's save it, and now let's see if our tests fail or pass. See our test pass now. So in this case, we have tested both function, save to local storage and get from local storage. Now if I change this test to something like changed value. I'm going to save the file, and now we should see that our test should pass again. There you go. It passes again. So we're using the storage service to save to local storage, and then we're getting from our same function and we're evaluating it here. And we also learn how we can handle this asynchronous code. So we are actually in a good shape now, and there are other functions that we need to test. So here I'm going to say save to local storage and then get from local storage. Okay, I'll say test cases. Now that should be okay for these two functions. Now we're gonna use this remove from local storage. So I'm going to create another let's just fix this first, and we can call it remove from local storage, and this should remove a key from a local storage. So should remove key from local storage. Add an assertion. Let me just hide this a bit. Okay, now here we are going to first of all call our service and then try to remove something. So we can use this storage save to local, and then we can validate that. So I'm going to use this const object. We can use actual storage service dot save to local storage, and I'm going to use that object, and then for the key we can say just test. Okay, then we are going to say expected, but we don't really need to use that constant defined variable. We can directly use this storage service dot remove from local storage, and we can pass in the same key as test, and then we can call in that then, and then this is going to return a value, and we can just log that value onto browser. I'm going to take you to the documentation, and here we can see this remove function returns y, which means it doesn't return anything. So once we save that, we are going to use this bit to get from the local storage. And now if that returns an error, then that means that there's a problem there, because the value doesn't exist. So save to local storage required something like test and then the object. And that should be it. We need a comma here instead of colon. Now remove from local storage, it should remove, and then we should log the value. Okay, first let's run this one and let's see what we get in the storage. So here we got undefined, okay, which means that there will not be that key which will be present there. So let's go back to code, and I'm going to say use a done because it's a asynchronous. So we'll just expect val to be undefined. Okay, let's save it and let's see if we pass that test there. Okay, it failed. It says async callback was not invoked. 500 milliseconds set by Jasmine default. Now we are going to use return from here, and then we are going to set the return type to promise, and that would be wide. Now let's see if our test passes or fails. We should be using await. Okay, that didn't work. Is there? So let's see what's the problem. So here we can see we got 2 tests passed and 1 failed. Since async callback was not invoked, The reason for that is we're going to use this done function there. We forgot. Let's save the file. Let's open up a Chrome. And we got this third test passed as well. Now, just because we passed this one, I would like to use this as, get from local storage function to see if we actually saved this bit and it was there. So I'm going to use this storage service.get from local storage. I'm going to pass in this test, and then I'm going to log that value. I'm just going to log it stored in local and pass in that val there. Let's save the file, add some commas, semicolons, fix all errors, and let's see if we get that in the console. So, okay, we got this stored in local. This was the value, and then it passed over test as well. So it says storage should be created. Now it's looking good. We have completed the test cases for save to local storage, get from local storage, remove from local storage. And then we got this clear storage as well that we can test. So I'm going to create another test. So it says clear local storage should clear everything from local storage. I'm going to save this file. Let's give a little bit of room there. And then I'm going to store few things into local storage. Okay, so I'm going to use this for loop, or maybe we can create some multiple storage. Maybe we can just use one. That should be fine. So I'm just going to use this bit. Actually, copy this bit here. And then once we have that stored, I'm going to get rid of this const actual, because that's not required in this kind of testing. We will be using this expected and actual in other services that we write for application. But for now, it should be fine. So we have stored it. Then we are going to verify that by using this getter function. Let's just paste that here. And then we are going to use storage service.clear from storage, and that returns nothing. So I'm going to make it return something in our code. So we'll say return promise wide. Let's take a look at the documentation, and here we got this clear. Yep, and it returns promise wide. That's what we should be returning. So let's finish off that bit. Then we can say then grab the value, and the value we are expecting to be undefined. Okay, and then we call this asynchronous done function. We're gonna have to add that here as well. So that should be it. Let's save the file, and let's finally verify that our local storage service is 100% tested. So storage should be created. That's all good. Save to local storage. Yep, that's good. Get from local storage. Yep, that's fine. Removed. Yeah, removed. Clear storage, and that passed as well. Now, just to verify, I would like to create another test case here, just to see what we have when we just run this get and save. So for just testing, I'm going to just comment this bit out and then open up the Chrome browser. And now it says storage service created, save to local storage, and get from local storage. That passed, but I want to verify that the value is still there in my local storage of a Chrome browser. So we go to application. Here we got local storage, and the value is there. So you can see here, we got the value there. Let me just clear it out. And then we are going to go back to Python and uncomment this bit. Let our test cases run. And we should see that value came here and then it was removed by our test case. So as you can see, things worked very well. We got our storage service tested properly, and testing or unit testing is one of the skill that you need to learn to master your Angular code, basically to make sure that your code never breaks. So unit testing your code is very, very important. Now in this case, anytime I or any other developer change this code and the test will actually tell him, hey, you've done something wrong here, it is not returning what it's supposed to return. So it's not functioning the way it's supposed to function. So now we covered our unit testing. Now let's go and finish off the UI for this add expense page. I'm going to bring up terminal. I'm going to type IONIC serve command to start the server. And then we are going to go to this component add expense file, and here we can see we got one method dismiss model, and also we got this shade module, which is basically importing this entry component. So I'm going to close this tab and we're going to refresh this bit, and then we can see we got our model is coming up. Okay, so we worry about the UI, a fancy UI later, but first let's finish off some basic form for that page. So first of all, let's go here, and here we got this function. I'm gonna use Angular reactive forms to create that. So let's go to the documentation for Angular. So it's much better to see what the instructor is learning from and following, so you guys can go and explore more. So here we got the forms. That's a reactive form here, and what we need to do is import this reactive form module. So first of all, let's copy this bit, go back to the code, and we're gonna go to app module. I'm going to import this at the root level. So let's paste that, and then we are going to import that reactive form module. Also, what we can do here is just indent it properly so it's more readable. Let's save the file, and now we should have the reactive form imported. Let's go back to the documentation. Once that's done, then we are going to create a new component, which we already have, and we got here is name as a new form control. Now there are many ways that you create forms. If you want to learn more details into forms and reactive forms, I would highly recommend take my Angular course. So if I take you guys here, always Jamil, and here you should be able to see my Angular course, which go through about Angular 8 and Angular 9 now in details about the forms and stuff. So what we want to do here is I'm going to use this form control name, but before I do that, I want to use this as a group. So I want to create a grouping control. So we need to import this form group and then forms. So let's just copy this bit, and we are going to go to add expense page. I'm going to paste that bit here. We're going to go back to documentation, and here we got this, a template that I can just copy, and I'm going to paste that here. Now this is going to be add expense form, and we got this new group, and then the first would be amount, and then it can be description, and then we probably have a type as well. So we create a new form control there. We'll leave that empty. There are two errors that we're seeing. This is the typo error. Let me just bring up this to rename to description. That will go away. Also, I would like to select this bit and move it above. Now the arrow will go away. It was basically Python is smart enough saying, hey, don't, define that after the constructor function. Now we'll save this file. Now we're gonna go and finish off some of the UI for this. So I'll go here. In here, I would like to use Angular template. So somewhere here, I've seen this bit. Okay, so we got a form group. I'm gonna copy this bit. And let's go and paste that here. Now we are using this input element, which is not from IONIC. So what we want to do is change this to ion input. And also, okay. And also we're going to get rid of this label for now. Let's just get rid of that. And now it's giving me this error. It's saying the property form grid is not provided to be any directive. So what we need to do is go to shade module. And here we are importing this IONIC module. Just after that, import reactive form module. Let's save it. And the error should go away now. And here we have this form as add expense form. Okay, let's open up the model and we should have two forms here now. Now I don't see any form here for now. So there are two forms. I can click on them and then I can start typing. So that's all good. So it says first name and the last name is not there. So we're going to go back and find out what is the name for that form name. So we have amount, description, and type. Let's go back to HTML. Here it would be amount. And then this would be description. Let's save the file. And now once I click on that, it should not give any error. So as you can see, it's fine now. Now, once we've done this, we are going to go back to the IONIC documentation. And here we got this input, ion input. Now I've got this placeholder tag that I want to use. So I'm going to copy this bit and I'm going to say paste that here. But instead of saying enter input, I would like to say type amount. Okay, now we should be able to see that in the model. There you go, we're gonna type amount. And then here we're gonna use the same placeholder, and that would be description. Actually, just say type description. And I'm going to change this to ion text area instead of ion input. And now let's take a look at our form, how it's looking. Okay, we got type description, we got amount. Now, what more thing I would like to do is make it look like a kind of form that we will expect, just a round border. So for that, what we need to do is wrap that in an ion item and then add that as a label. And we can also set the position there as well. So I'm going to go back and wrap this as ion item and then move this in the middle. And then here we can define a label. Let's just worry about label later, but let's just wrap that in ion item. And then move your bit up, the input. Now let's take a look what we have here. Open up. Now we got this kind of form there. Okay, I can add, description there. Next, we need to have this another ion item, and this would be ion select. And then here we're going to have ion select items. So that would be select options. Let's do a bit of copy here and say, for example, for the amount, we can say general. And then we can say grocery, shopping, coffee. All right, let's take a look at now. Click on this plus button. We got this general, grocery, shopping, coffee. Okay, and it's the description, and here we have an amount. Now this is not looking much, it's not looking really great. So let's just get this out from Ion item. As I said, we worry about the fancy UI and making it look nicer later. Let's finish off some basic UI part and then we worry about that later. Now, in terms of Ion Select, if I go to the documentation for that, I'm gonna search for IONIC documentation, go to components and type Ion Select. And then here we got Ion Select. I have an API for that, which I can use. So make it look like a different. So here we got this Ion list, header, Ion label, and then there's a list for that. Here we got a sample for like, just Ion Select a value, okay, and button. Also the label there as well. So I'm actually going to copy this bit and go back and then just paste that here. And let's see how it's looking. So label would be select type, and then the button would be okay for that. And this one would be dismiss, or let's just say cancel. Okay, we got a value. I'm gonna have to create an object for this value, but for now let's just leave whatever the value we got from there. So if you got select type, I can click on that and we have this value set as brown. Initially I would like to just remove that bit so we don't have any value. Okay, that's good enough. And here for Ion Select, I would like to use a form control name as well, and I'll just do a type. Okay, next we have a couple of buttons that we can add, and here I would like to use this Ion buttons, and I would like to use first Ion button, make a copy of it, and then that first one would be add, and then cancel. Okay, let's take a look at our form now. All right, we got add button and we got cancel button. So here I would like to use expand, and I will say full, and let's see how it's looking now. All right, so here we're gonna add this in item as well. I'm going to cut this bit and then paste it here. Let's save the file, and now I'm expecting to have some colors there, or make it look like a button there. Right, so we got our icon button. I'm gonna go back and look at the documentation for that as well, because it's always the case that whenever you want to find something, you're gonna have to go and look at the documentation. So here we got a toolbar, we got a button slot. Okay, this one's looking nicer. So we got this button there, collapsible buttons. And then we got this bit as well with the icon there. You know what? I'm gonna try this bit. I'm gonna copy this and I wanna try this as inside here. So in Ion item, let's paste that bit and let's see how it's looking now. All right, we got this back button, and then we also got this top buttons here. So I'm just gonna remove that, and here I'm going to use Ion button. I will do a color as primary, expand as what options do I have? That would be actually use the block one, and then here I'm gonna say add, and let's see. Okay, we got add button now. I'm going to get rid of this bit, and I'm going to add another copy and then paste that there. Okay, that looking good. I'm going to use this fill property, and for the fill property I'm going to go back to documentation, And let's take a look at what do we have in the field property. We don't have any field property because we're looking at this ion button. So I'm gonna go search for ion button. Okay, and this is the one that I want to look at. So here we're gonna have this block button, and I'm gonna try finding that. So that's expand. I'm gonna use this full width. Well, actually block is fine. Full width with the rounded corners, yeah, that's good. Fill, we can use this solid. Getting a little bit complicated. We got this fill as solid. I'm gonna make a copy of this button, and I want to get rid of this item, toolbar, and on buttons for now. Okay, we'll worry about the nice UI later, but for now just add the button. So here we got add, and here I'm going to do cancel. Okay, so the two buttons now. We're gonna take a look at how it's looking. So click on plus button, we got this add button, and we got this cancel button. Here we got the select type, and I'm gonna also change this select type to, you know, action sheet. So let's go back to the documentation, and here we got this ion input open. Actually, I want to search for ion select. Here you go. And then from here, I would like to use something different. So here we got this as an action sheet. Okay, but the problem with this one, probably if we have like too many categories, it will be hard for the user to select that. So this one, which is like a list, that looks nicer to me. So we got this action sheet and popover, and I'm going to use this popover as an interface. So let's go all the way down, and then here we should have this as a sample for that. So cancel, okay. Object as value, this is what we're going to do. And then interface options, here's the list. So here we got interface option, and here it says alert. So I'm going to copy this bit and then paste that here. Okay, and here we can see it's alert. So I'm going to use popover. Let's save the file. And now let's take a look at our select. And here we got this popover, so that's gonna be like, you know, it can grow, so that should be fine for now. Okay, so we finished off our UI for our basically for our ad expense. In the next video, we are going to start working in terms of logic, saving data, having a data service and action service, and we're gonna start writing some code in the next video, and then we're gonna bind that code via this UI and do what it's supposed to do. Now, before I wrap up this video, I would like to open this project in iOS emulator. So I'll use IONIC capacitor command, run iOS. Our application is running in Xcode. I'm going to click on this app, and I'm going to click on sign, and then here I'm going to select my personal team, and for the build ID I'm going to have to say com.oasemusa.expense tracker. Okay, and it's going to build this provisioning profile provisioning for me. And now I can click on this play button, and it's going to open up iPhone 8 emulator, and it will have our application running. How cool is that? So in just 3 videos, we started our application from scratch. We talked about how as a developer you proceed with the project, what are the things that you need to do. I haven't used Trello much in this video, but usually when you are working on a project which is complicated, you create all the tasks for like a week of tasks that you have to create in Trello, and then you have to properly follow. Okay, so you have to properly follow those tasks, and you cannot skip any tasks from there because they will be depending on a different task. So it's a whole process. We also use Adobe XD to create our just a prototype for application, which makes us easy to see what we're building. Now here we got this capacitor running. I'm expecting this to run. It's kind of stuck there, I don't know why, but it should be running. My computer is blowing as well. It's too many applications running at the same time because I've got a Mac with 8 gig. Now here, that's how our application is looking right now in iOS emulator, looking really good. I can click on this plus button and it opens up this this model. Okay, so far so good. This application will take some time, probably 10 videos. I'm gonna try working on this. I would highly recommend to go check out its repository, which is available on GitHub. So here we got this expense tracker repository. You're more than welcome to fork it and then start working with me. Also, the way you can contribute is basically take a pull from a master branch and then do a pull request if you want to add some functionality. Here's a playlist for this YouTube playlist for this series, and also I'm creating some branches. For example, here we got the branch for video 1, a video 2 branch. So every branch is basically has a tag. So now if I'm ending video 3, which means there's going to be a branch which will merge back to master, and it will have the code which you see at the end of the video 3. Okay, that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching, and if you do like this video, help me out by donating or maybe getting one of the courses if you're interested in plain JavaScript or Angular. So yeah. Okay, so that's about it. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys in the next video.